Hello all, this is Saturday night in Tokyo, June 14th, 2025. It's, I guess, the early morning if you're in the US. June 14th, of course, marks the 250th year anniversary. Well, right, there's US history, Civil War, and the military, and of course it's also being used as the pretense for Trump to have spent $45 million of taxpayer money on his birthday, 79th birthday celebration, rolling tanks and several hundreds of whatever it is, military, militia, through the center of the city, Capitol Hill, right, in Washington, and it's also supposed to rain, according to the news. This is not a news program. This is not, there's so many commentators, right? You can go check their videos. Feel free. And I'm not going to say hit like and subscribe either to my page, because I'm not making any money from this thing, ever. So, it's not the point. But it is June 14th in Tokyo. For me, it's just another Saturday night, which means I'm at home alone, which means I'm not antisocial. I went out actually earlier to a kind of bar where there was like a musical performance, a free one. And we're playing songs from the 70s, the Beatles and stuff. And I had one beer and I left. And I came home because I didn't really talk to people much. And then, so here I am. And so the fuck what? What's the point of this talk? It's a good question. I was going to stop it and restart it. No, I might as well just let it roll, huh? Just be real about it. So what is the point of this talk? Well, there is no point. There's never any point, is there? Why are you watching, right? Why do you do anything? So I'll talk about myself. I've had all kinds of like neck pain and problems. I've been to 2 different chiropractors. Today I went to a new one and he was quite good, I think, and that's hopeful, but a little bit expensive, even with insurance. And yesterday I went and got MRI. I got 6 x-rays of my neck and my, head, neck area. And then I got an MRI. And the results I'm going to be hearing about later this week. And I've got all kinds of pain issues. And the chiropractic today was a bit helpful, I think. I mean, it was good. It was a 30-minute session. So I have to deal with this. And music is my life still. And it's not my profession. And the last couple times I talked about how teaching classes was becoming less and less sort of satisfying, or what is the word? I don't know. Because students are not sort of able to think critically much. And because the internet age is just, nobody reads books, and some students are trying, and they do think for themselves, and they do write their own papers. And I'm not saying it's like zero. It's not zero. And I have some very good students. But what I'm trying to say is that there's I have the sense that there's less ability to think critically and to discuss literature. I mean, there's just no reference point. If you don't read books at all, and you don't have background at all, and you're a 3rd or 4th year student and you're doing literature with no background, it's like, how can we even discuss anything? So it's kind of frustrating, and even simple things that to me would seem sort of obvious are not obvious, and so then you have to explain, and then you get blank looks, and or people just sleeping. It's become very frustrating and feels like just going in circles with it. Again, not all students, not all my classes, but it's been a problem. And I'm just exhausted from Tokyo, as I've talked in the last talks, and but glad to be here and not in the US right now, which isn't to say that I'm not concerned for the people who are in the US right now. I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned, but just what can I do? And people here are kind of unaware or don't want to be aware. Many people. Few are aware, but they don't really talk about it, because what can you say or do, right? So I do, and then I piss people off because nobody wants to hear it. That's the other thing is part of this talk I want to talk about, and it's not just about me, it's about those of you who can relate to it, I hope, which is that sense of isolation, that if you are thinking outside of, how to say this, depending on your values, your personal values, and your way of thinking, and your way of moving through the world, perhaps if you're like me, and I think few people are, but not zero, and I think there's some percentage of the population that is, and I'm not saying I'm special, I'm saying just honestly, that, I don't know, it's like you kind of end up not being able to talk with anyone after time, because you start, and then it's like you're just in different worlds, and there's no meeting point, and just like working on oneself, and you work on yourself, and you look around and you go, what the hell is everyone doing? I don't mean everyone, and it's not this is the danger. If you speak out about this, it's like then others become offended and they feel like you're criticizing them or you're placing yourself above, and that's not at all. If anything, it's just absolutely fucking, isolating, and you just feel completely alone, and like you can't express what you're thinking or feeling, or you try, but it doesn't connect with anyone, and then you go off alone again, and then people say, oh, he's a stuck-up jerk, and it's like, I mean, it's absolutely isolating. It's absolutely lonely, if you will. Certainly it's a solitary life that one ends up leading. And each time you try to reach out again, you just encounter the same thing. It's like I end up questioning myself again and again and again. Well, maybe it is me, and maybe I should just do this and that. And then again, it's of course the same result. It's like if you don't learn from your mistakes and you do them again and again, like who's the idiot there, right? So it's like you are, right? So, it's like you kind of realize it, but then you say, well, but I can't spend my entire life being like in Japan, we say hikikomori, like just staying at home, even I don't live with my parents, right? But if I just don't go anywhere and don't talk to anyone apart from teaching or, buying groceries or whatever, which soon humans are going to be replaced by machines anyway, and half of them are already, not AI, but just, machines that you do self-checkout, right? And in Japan, I don't know how it is in the US or other places, but it's like if you go to a restaurant even, you get a waiter waitress, like, someone comes to your table and puts a glass of water down, and they give you a QR code and they say order on that. So, and then they deliver your food. It's not yet robots at most places. There are actually some sort of robot servers. They're not intelligent robots, but they're these things that come with a tray at some of the chain places. But most of the places, it's not robots serving you, it's people, but you're ordering online on your phone. You do a QR code and you order online. So who do you talk to, and what kind of communication are you going to have with someone who just says, here's your food, do you want anything else? I mean, so, or checking out at the register. So unless I go out and force myself, I don't end up kind of talking to people at all, other again than sort of really superficially or my students who I'm teaching them where I'm, right? I mean, there's some interaction, but it's, right, it's just that. And then I go home after the classes and I get onto the crowded trains and stuffed in like this with everyone on their phones. And no communication, certainly, in the trains going on with strangers. So this is my life in Tokyo. But, and I'm looking also at what's happening in the US and everywhere. And of course, we have Iran and Israel now at war, with Israel the aggressor again. And America basically, Trump flip-flopping, but basically, of course, supporting Israel and Netanyahu. And, where's the breaking point here? Melting Point was my This Dark Shroud album, and I had, it's always Melting Point, Breaking Point, Kali Yuga, everything like this, these kinds of titles. I didn't have an album called Breaking Point. I had Melting Point, and I had Kali Yuga, and I had The World Was Not the Same in 2022, and I had, all these titles of albums and songs and things that no one paid attention to when I released them, and don't now either. But, it's like always this, and just over and over. So today I thought I'd do some music, and I'm going to, hopefully when I'm done with this talk, I'm thinking to do some music at home with my earphones on, my keyboard and my mic and whatever. I did Future Legend, which is the opening kind of minute and a half or something long introduction to the Diamond Dogs album before the song Diamond Dogs, which is a kind of rock song. But it's a dystopia, right? And red mutant eyes gaze down on Hunger City, and etc. And I was at the coffee shop and I thought I want to do it. And I had my keyboard, MIDI keyboard, and my Mini in my bag. I brought it on purpose to do, and I put it, I programmed a bit of synth, and I also got a sample of a sound that when I was out. And then I thought, well, where am I going to record? I'd record it at home, right? And I was like, no, I'm just going to go outdoors and just record it in the street, which I've done that style before, and I'll get the street noise too. Hunger City, right? So I thought, well, all right, it's raining, poto, 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 poto. So I did, and I put that on YouTube, right? I made the video with the iPhone, and then I just edited it up while I was there and just uploaded it. And I want to do a proper version of that and Diamond Dogs, and maybe, as I mentioned in the note I wrote, Sweet Thing and Candidate. I did We Are the Dead in 2023, and I remixed it last year. And then I want to do Diamond Dogs, and I want to do Sweet Thing, and I want to do maybe one or two others. We'll see. I'm not going to do Rebel Rebel. I just don't really not interested in that song that much. It's more like a song that's like an outtake from Ziggy Stardust or something, Anyway, which isn't bad. I like Ziggy Stardust, but it's just I don't want to do that song really. More interested in the 1984 material, actually, maybe. Well, I mean the Hunger City and then the 1984 material on the B side, right? So I did We Are the Dead. Maybe I'll do the chant, the circling chant, ever chanting, ever circling chant of the Skeletal Family, whatever, which ends the album. Maybe I'll do that in a weird version. We'll see. I had a song called Bones, which from 2018, which I redid in 2022, which has, I made the sound with the clinking two pieces of wood together or clicking them together to make the sound of like bones, right? So I could do something like that with it. Maybe use my flutes, my bamboo flutes, right? Doesn't sound quite the same though, they're hollow. What else to talk about tonight? I don't know what's going to happen with America, what's going to happen with all this. We're in World War III, I guess. I think we've been in it for a while, possibly since Ukraine in 22, 2 days prior to my birthday, February. And we have a autocrat in the White House, possibly with ties to the KGB, and we have volcanic activity and possibly an earthquake coming soon to Japan. I might be dead next month or not have anything to make music or anything with next month. if I survive it, if it comes for real, as the prediction is. I just don't know. And my life, again, to go back to the beginning, the neck pain and all these things, and I'm still alone, and I'm still sort of like, what is the point of this life other than just to experience it and then to die and to let go when one dies and not to be clinging to anything? So maybe it's good that I just strip it all away. I don't have family here. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have anything in that sense. I do have a daughter who I talk to occasionally, but I don't have someone by my side to like sort of worry about day in day. I don't have a pet either. So I'm really, just let go of the handlebars, if the earthquake comes, just go. Poof. My music, does anyone care about it? I did. I do, or I did, or I will have. Past tense, I do. I'm going to do more music tonight, I think. So I just finished a new album of an hour and a half long, 9 tracks with the Bowie, Scary Monsters and Scream Like a Baby, which I split into 2 tracks and I remixed a bit. I rearranged, where I was playing the drums in the studio and the electric guitar, and I did the vocals and keyboards at home on that. And but mostly it's long improvisations and 2 tracks with a sax parts from Ayane Sato. She plays all kinds of wind instruments, and she plays flutes, and I've actually seen her playing piano in one video, so I think she does other things too. She doesn't sing, but she does mostly wind instruments and flutes and tin whistle, and I think shakuhachi and all kinds of things. And I do, of course, the suling flutes. So that's cool. I really like, and I posted, I really like especially the track I ended up naming Time Slip because of the improvisation, the vocal improvisation. I mentioned the time slip. I gave that the title. And there's one other that I had been working on called Amido, which is a sliding door or sliding screen, is the title. And I actually ended up adding her sax loops to the end of that in a different way. And I like that track too. That has some electronic drum beats and me playing a Telecaster in the studio. And I like that too. But we're gonna, I think, collaborate again, which should be cool. She sends files and I mix them. It's good because I haven't been collaborating with anyone and I haven't been doing live shows at all. And the last time I spoke, I said, and nothing's changed. I'm not out there. I'm not putting my face up saying, hey. I kind of stopped caring. I enjoy performing live when it's right and the timing's right and the situation's right. And, but it's like, I feel, I can't say I feel undervalued. That doesn't sound right. And that sounds kind of like an ego thing too. It's not that, but at the same time, I do feel like what I'm doing has no value to anyone, in the sense that if it had more value, maybe someone would speak out and say, this has value. I'd love to do something with you. And nobody does unless I'm the one to reach out. And even when I reach out, oftentimes it doesn't work out. So I just kind of get tired of it. And I go back to my own hikikomori world, like tonight, and I'll make music tonight. I did the Feature Legend when I was at the coffee shop, and I did outside. I can do it anywhere as long as I have the time and the wherewithal. So that's my style. It's always been. I never depend on others to do stuff. If I did, I can't even imagine where I'd be now, because I'd be like, hey, can we do and go to the studio? And I had too many situations where like I depended and I was hopeful, and then the person just didn't show up. It's kind of like being ghosted by you get on a dating app and you think the person's going to come, or you meet someone and you do the thing and then we have a date and they don't show up, or they cancel 5 minutes before, or they cancel after you get there on a message and you don't see them again. That's kind of how it was for me with music in the beginning and bands and stuff. And then once I got it going, it was always this kind of dramatic push and pull, and you have to agree with everyone else or it doesn't work, and then they start to resent you if you don't. So I didn't do well with that. And that's why I guess I don't do so well with relationships. It's not that I'm pushing my ideas or my things. I don't actually. I don't think. I just have them and I do my thing. And if the other person does their thing, and if we can kind of just meet, somewhere in that where we both have freedom and we don't push each other to do this or to do that, we can be free and also together and have that. Whether it's a collaboration in music or whether it's a love story or whether it's a friendship, then it works. But it's such a rare thing that, especially since it just seems not to be happening in my life for 5+ years. So this is where I'm at. And I pray in a way for America, for the people who don't go along with this fucking fascist regime. And I hope it's going to lead to something better, that it's going to be right. Maybe chaos and pain for everyone for a while, and then hopefully, people will fucking wake up and then realize that putting billionaires on a pedestal maybe wasn't a great idea after all, and that they're being used, and that you can't trust these people, and that you can't, give your autonomy away either. Don't listen to the crowd, they say jump. That's my talk. Thanks. I'm going to make music tonight.